Okay.
My research here also codified in our code.
Calling this meeting of the Board of Adjustment and Appeals to order on Wednesday, July 22nd. Would everyone accompany me in standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we go to roll call, I want to note for folks here and those who may be monitoring online that there are 3 board members present and 1 remote, so we do have a quorum. Melinda, if I could get a roll call, please.
Okay, 1 second. Thank you, sorry. Thank you for bearing with me here. Okay. Board Member Purcell.
You able to hear me okay?
We are.
Okay, great.
Board Member Jardine.
Present.
Board Member Davis is absent. Board Member Weed.
Here.
Chair Farr.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have an agenda that has been published both on the website and copies have been provided. Are there any amendments anyone is aware of for the
No
no
amendments.
changes? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We also had a chance to review the minutes of our last meeting. That is not a typo. Our last meeting for the Board of Adjustment was in fact February 27th of 2025. This is a board that meets on an as-needed basis. So you can see that that was the last time we were needed. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those notes online. Any amendments or any concerns?
No.
Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All approved? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Minutes for February 27th, 2025 are approved. Move on to our public comments. This is the section of the meeting where the public is invited to make comments that are unrelated to tonight's agenda item. It's a small audience tonight, but do we have any of the public that wish to make comments during this section?
I have no one signed up for public comment and no one in the virtual attendance.
Very good. That being the case, get a motion to close public comments. Is that necessary?
No.
All right, I'm going to order public comments closed at this time. Move on to the general business. As a result of having met over a year ago, we will have an election of a chair, vice chair, and secretary for the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Any discussion?
I'm relatively new to this, so.
Yeah, I would say if, Michael, if you're still interested in, to serve as the chair, I would support you in that if that's something that you have the time for and interest to do.
Is that, can I get a motion then in that regard?
A move to elect Chair Farr as chair.
Yeah, I would just make a suggestion to nominate the current chair.
Nominate.
And then we'll make a motion on if you accept the position.
I'd like to
Absolutely.
nominate Chair Farr for chair of the upcoming year.
And just to make that clear, I do certainly will accept if the board should so nominate and elect.
I second.
Any discussion? Sounds like we've already had that part. All in favor of Farr continuing as chairman of BOAA, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, FAR continues as the chair. On the occasion I cannot attend, we would need a vice chair to help run the meetings. Do we have any volunteers from the board who would serve as vice chair?
I'd be happy to volunteer unless I'm going to spoil somebody's day.
Dan Weed has volunteered. Jeff Purcell, give you an opportunity to weigh in since you're remote.
I'd support you in that. So certainly, I guess I nominate Dan.
Very good. I have a nomination. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a nomination or a motion and a second for Dan Weed as vice chair. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Weed will serve as vice chair, and that leaves then the secretary of the board, and that is a position that is not necessarily known. Thankfully, we have Melinda Helmer to assist with helping to keep notes. The secretary is, and please correct me, Melinda and Counselor, if I'm way off base here, is essentially to help review the notes for accuracy before they are submitted and signed off on.
Yeah, the Erie Municipal Code does require boards to elect a secretary. I think for all intents and purposes, the staff liaison for the Board of Adjustments does a majority of the work. Typically, the secretary will take minutes and take notes and minutes for the board. I think this is more of a not a placeholder position, but just someone to hold the position, and then staff will do the majority of the minute taking and action taking.
And that has certainly been my experience over the 20-some-odd years I've served on the Board of Adjustment, that, in fact, the staff does do the majority of the work. So someone say all that, you should not be scared, for a lack of a better word, to volunteer your services as secretary. So I leave that out now for anybody who wishes to make a motion for the position of secretary. And since he's not here, how about Jeff Purcell? I nominate Jeff Purcell for the position of secretary, if Jeff would be willing to serve.
Sure, I'll accept that.
So I have a first. Can I have a second?
Second that.
I definitely have a second. All in favor of Jeff Purcell serving as Board of Adjustment secretary, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. So Jeff Purcell serving as the secretary. Brings us to our next item of business, that is resolution number A2601, the request for a variance for 790 Cattell Street. I'm going to hand this over to town for their presentation.
Chair Farr, did you officially open the public hearing? Did you make a note of the time?
I did. If I haven't, let me make that clear now that this
Thank you.
portion of the Board of Adjustment is open for the purposes of hearing the information for resolution number A2601.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Harry Brennan. I'm a senior planner here. Been with the town about 3.5 years, but it's my first time presenting before you all, so glad to meet you. Yeah, the request or the application I have for your consideration tonight is the variance request for 790 Cattell. And I will say this is a pretty rare case. We don't bring a lot of zoning variances to you all. And generally that's because we have a pretty high bar in our approval criteria. And so we often guide people to look for other options if we feel that their applications don't meet the approval criteria or won't meet them. This is one of the rare occasions that we feel that the situation does meet our approval criteria, as I'll get into a little further in here. And in this presentation, I'll give you a little bit more background on the property, then get into details of the proposal itself, and finally go over sort of our evaluation in regards to the approval criteria, and then wrap it up with the staff recommendation. The property is located in Old Town in the northeast corner. You can see at the corner of Cattell and Evans Street here. Coal Creek Park is down to the south here about a block, and then Coal Creek itself is over here to the east. These are a couple street view images just to give you a feel for the property. So you can see it has two street frontages, the long street frontage on Evans and then the short street frontage on Cattell. And a little history on the property. It was platted originally with the Old Town Erie, the original Old Town Erie plat in 1928 that formalized a lot of the Old Town properties. And as was common at the time, the blocks were split into, or the lots, I guess the blocks were split into 25-foot lots, these little strips of lots with the intent that folks could buy one or multiple to sort of assemble the size of lot they wanted. Very few of the lots exist still that way today. This is one of them that still exists as a 25-foot wide lot. And I'll get into a little bit more of why that's so unusual on later slides. And then, sorry, I guess most recently the property was occupied by a mobile home, as you can see in the aerial image on the right-hand side. The property is zoned Old Town Residential, which, as the name suggests, does allow for single-family detached residential, and then some other types of residential are allowed by special review use, which isn't proposed here, so I won't get into those too much. The comprehensive plan identifies or designates this area as low-density residential, so we find that this proposal would be consistent with that designation. And this proposal also sort of speaks to a specific goal in the comp plan that would be fostering a stable and attractive downtown through infill and good design. So this, of course, would be an infill project here. Now I'll get into a little bit more detail of the proposal. So the specific ask tonight is for approval of a variance request to allow a 4-foot street side setback where 10 feet is required, and then allow building eaves to encroach up to as close as 2 feet to the property line where 3 feet are required. And that ask is on the north side of the property that faces the street, not the south side that faces or that is directly adjacent to another house. And this will help you probably visualize it a little better. So yeah, as I mentioned, the ask is for a variance that would apply only to the north side. And you can see here the 4-foot setback, where typically a 10-foot would be required on this street side. And then the eave overhang could be as close as 2 feet from the property line on that north side. Now I'll get into the approval criteria. So in order to try to put sort of a quantitative estimate on how unique this property was, we compared it to all residential lots in Old Town. And we found, so this graph that you see here is sort of a normalized bell curve, or just sort of speaks to the most common lot sizes that we see in Old Town. And so you can see the average here at the peak is a little right around 8,000 square feet. And then of course we have a bit of a skew on some bigger lots, but this property, 790 Cattell, falls within the 15th percentile. So it's 85% of lots in Old Town are bigger than this lot. And so it is very much on the smaller side. It is also uniquely narrow, being that it's just 25 feet in lot width. And so that number actually, or that 85%, corresponds to, let's see, sorry. There are 87 lots in Old Town that are this size or smaller. And of those, a vast majority, 60 of them actually, are for townhomes, like in the Erie Junction neighborhood that was recently approved, and the Cheeseman neighborhood that was also recently built. So that leaves a very small number. We're talking about like 18 lots that are this width and intended for single family dwellings. And of those, many of them are also owned or are owned in conjunction with a property next door, and therefore it's not really a 25-foot width lot. It's bigger because it's attached to a larger lot. So there's really only a handful, under 10 lots that are standalone this width, and this is the only one that we found that was also a corner condition where the street side setback is also applicable. So that was kind of a mouthful, but I guess the summary of that point is that we find that this lot is in a very unique position, being 25 feet in width and also having to comply with the street side setbacks that are in the Old Town residential zoning. So that leaves, maybe I'll flip back to this criteria, but so that leaves a very small buildable area when you take into account those setback requirements from the OTR zoning. You're left with only a 10-foot buildable envelope, which is essentially impossible to do anything with. So staff find that this is a very modest request that would add 6 additional feet of buildable area, so you'd get a 16-foot wide envelope, which is still quite narrow, but would be workable from the applicant's perspective. So I'll flip back to this. So the third criteria that we look at is also to be sure that the condition isn't sort of self-imposed by the applicant. So if someone, built a large home on their lot and then didn't leave enough room to build a garage or something like that, we wouldn't consider that or that wouldn't meet this criteria 3, because that's sort of a self-imposed condition. And this property has been in this format, as far as I can tell, since 1928 at least. And so this current property owner certainly did not impose the conditions of those constraints after they purchased the property. So we do find that third criteria is met. The fifth criteria, we looked at to make sure that the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And we do feel that this is the case. There are quite a few sort of narrower homes in Old Town, and so this would be in a similar sort of range. And also, actually, for sort of visualization, the Cheeseman properties, those single-family detached that are on Cheeseman Street, that face Cheeseman Street, I believe those are 15-foot wide homes. So that's sort of if you're trying to picture what this would look like, I think something similar to that could be possible. So for that reason, we don't find that this would substantially alter the character of the neighborhood. And the other reason we feel that is because the variance request is for the street side setback and not the setback that would separate it from the home to the south. So the impact on that neighbor to the south would be lessened as well, or would not be impacted. And as I mentioned, staff do find that this is a reasonable request. The applicant hasn't asked for the street side setback to be removed entirely, just for a break for 6 additional feet so that they can meet or make a more reasonable building envelope. So staff do find that this criteria is met as well. Finally, and I kind of breezed through those so I can run back through them if there are any questions. But yeah, in summary, staff do find that this variance request complies with the approval criteria in UDC section 1079B2 and recommend that the Board of Adjustment approve this variance request. And public notice requirements were met for this meeting as well. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is here as well. I don't believe he has a formal presentation, but he's willing to answer questions or can also give a verbal presentation if he wants. If you want to.
Just out of you. If I'll sorry about that. If you have any comments, I'll have you approach the podium if you would. Introduce yourself for the board and then anybody who's watching online, and feel free to tell us what you want us to know.
Sure, yeah, I just want to my name's Cody Farmer, and I'm a performance builder, and we sell this lot. I have a young brother who needs a house, and we're into affordable housing. I'm also familiar with ADU and, single parent situations, and so we thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of clean up the neighborhood on that corner a little bit, and make something, exemplary that's also affordable. So it should look good and benefit the neighborhood as well. And I didn't have a presentation. I just thought I'd thank you all for your service and participate in the meeting once. So thank you.
Thank you. Don't run away too quick, just in case there's questions. Any questions on the part of the BOA? Let's start with our remote. Mr. Purcell, would you have any questions for Mr. Farmer?
Not for Mr. Farmer, but maybe for Harry. I had just a couple questions on the site plan looking at it, because I noticed that there was a note about perhaps requesting a variance regarding the steps, and I noticed that was not part of the request or recommendation, but I did see that detailed on the site plan.
Yeah, that's a good question. That note probably should have been removed. So sorry, I'm a little close to the mic. The steps don't have to comply with the building setback. So that didn't need a separate request.
And then I did note, and so it wouldn't be changing the setback from the front of the property, and so, because I think I actually drove this corner on the way home from the farmer's market last week, and that was one of the things I was wondering about, if there would cause any sightline issues for driving or other safety concerns. But I guess in the staff opinion, would there be any safety concerns with this?
That's a good question too. There is no, the request does not include a variance from that front setback, so that 20-foot front setback would still apply. And then actually this is also sort of helped by the fact that there's actually 11 and a half feet between the sidewalk and where the property line starts in this situation. So the right of way is a little, or the road, I would say, is sort of off centered in the right of way. So that's.
Yeah, I was wondering about that on the diagram as well, because I noticed that it showed the 10-foot setback, but then there was 11-foot 6-inch mark. But so from the sidewalk, it's set back 11 and a half feet. So it would start from, that far in. Is that correct? So it would be roughly, 13 and a half feet from the sidewalk to the eaves. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah. 13, okay. It could be as close as 13 and a half feet from the eaves to the sidewalk.
Thanks. That helps to clear that up.
Yeah.
And then just one other note. I noticed that it's proposed as a 3-story residence. Is that consistent with things in Old Town there?
There is, that you don't see a lot of 3-story houses in Old Town, but the zoning actually does allow for houses to go up to 35 feet. Accessory structures are limited to 25 feet in height, but people don't always take advantage of that, but there is actually a 35-foot height allowance for homes in Old Town residential. So this wouldn't be a variance from the height either. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I think that's all the questions I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Purcell. Mr. Jardine, do you have any questions for either staff or Mr. Farmer?
No, I think it's pretty clear. It's basic.
Thank you, Mr. Weed.
Yes, I have a question for staff. So with criteria 6, the last criteria, the variance is the minimum variance that will afford relief and the least modification possible. And so I was hoping you could kind of help me understand that, because we're going 6 feet in closer than we were, which makes a buildable building 16 feet wide, I think was, if my memory serves right. And so why is it not 15 feet? That would, why is 16 kind of minimum? Sounds almost like a maximum, Is we're putting a modular on here? Do they come 16? Is that why we had to go to the fullest extent there?
It was certainly one of the options, is to keep that, barrel type of look, whether we frame it or bring it in a mod box type is to be determined. I'm getting cost data on that. It's pretty expensive. So stick-built might be a better option for balloon, but certainly 2 4x8 sheets at 16, and the width traveling down the highway is as wide as you can get those structures. So we thought we'd ask for, 16 feet. I didn't realize I could have asked for more if we were thinking more stick frame.
No, I'm
but-
going the other way.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm just,
We trying to
maybe I'm not making myself clear either, Harry, but it seems like we've gone more than the minimum. Am I off?
No, I think I understand what you're asking. So sort of, I mean, not that these are the specific numbers you're asking about, but sort of like why is there a variance request for
6 feet
when
in.
it could have been 5 feet?
Right.
I think that's a valid question. I think this criteria is a little discretionary, so we need to sort of compare it in the grand scheme of things. I think we would. Well, in this particular situation, I think the 16 feet or the 6 feet was to allow a little bit of wiggle room in case, there were framing or additional sort of bump outs that architectural bump outs that might be included. And I think the thought process was that 15 feet was essentially the minimum that would be required for a sort of viable floor plate. And so 16 feet allowed a little bit of wiggle room for, architectural features or whether there were bump outs and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's really no bump outs, but the walls are insulated a little thicker. So they're not, 15-foot mobile home used to be a thing with 2.5-inch walls. But since we're in energy conservation designers as well, our walls are a little thicker, so they eat up a little more of that floor space in a given building.
And there's interior stairs as well, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, so when I was there on site, I was looking at it and thought that we were going from the property line from the inside of the sidewalk. But I guess if we could go back to that site plan and just, and I know Jeff touched on this as well, but I see 2 different levels to the lot, and the area, this 11.5-foot area is kind of a little higher, but we're not building within 2 feet of the sidewalk. Then we've got actually almost as much room as the neighbor has to the west, where they have a garage there that was 10 to 12 feet from the sidewalk. Where will this sit in relation to their 10 or 12 feet?
Yeah, this it is a little deceiving out there because in this case the edge of property line actually does not come to the edge of the sidewalk. There's an 11.5-foot distance there, but unfortunately the way the code requires that we measure the setbacks is from the property line and not from the sidewalk. So therefore it's the requirement if we were not to grant the variance, the structure would actually have to be 21.5 feet back from the sidewalk.
Right.
And so this would allow the wall to come as close as 15.5 feet from the back of sidewalk. And then when you take into account the 2 feet for the eaves, those could be as close as 13.5 feet from the sidewalk.
Okay, good. So this should not, the power poles and the power line that's there and any utilities unseen in the ground should not affect this then, because they're probably landing in that 11.5-foot area. And because I'm thinking, when I was looking at it, 3-story structure, and if we're 2 feet, wow, that power line's got to go. And I know there were some notes with Excel. We didn't see them, but they had apparently seen it. They didn't have issues with what was going on.
Yeah, and I think Excel, once, this is, I guess, you probably would agree, at this point, this is sort of a conceptual drawing. And so when, if this variance were to be approved, the applicant would still need to submit a building permit. And at that stage, we would definitely be looking at all that, because I know that Excel sometimes requires, when you're installing new electric service like this, they sometimes require that you underground portions of the line. So that could be something they wind up requesting as well. Yeah.
And I realize that's not part of it. It just made me think when I saw it.
No, that's good. Yeah,
it was one of the things we had to have Excel in and make sure that there was adequate space, that we were going to have to move that potentially, and they said there's no issue at all with the current locations of the pole and everything in the building that we propose to make, which was kind of exciting because I had that on voicemail. I still do.
Does that conclude your
That's
questions?
it for me. Thank you.
I just have the one question in looking at it, and it's more out of curiosity than anything. That 11 foot from the edge of the building as proposed in the property line or the sidewalk, is that usable space for the homeowner, or is that all right away for utility, et cetera?
I think that's a great question.
It is a great question. Unfortunately, it is. It would require. Yeah, it is public right away, and even if there's no imminent plans to occupy it with additional sidewalk or road widening, we do keep it as right away for the possibility, yeah, that future utility lines would go in there.
Okay. So clearly they can't put a structure over it, but he can put a grill out there and mow a lawn if.
Technically you need to keep any permanent occupations out of it. I mean, I think folks plant things all the time.
Sure. We have kids' birthdays, parties, and whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
curious what happens to that. Be very interested in seeing after you do get something built there, what that looks like in the end, especially
guys-
that area. And I'm, along with board member Purcell, a police officer doing traffic investigations, I was looking at that, and I could tell looking at the drawing that there was enough daylight, for the area coming off of Cattell, making the turn onto the street, that there would be sufficient daylighting, as we call it, so you could see traffic coming and whatnot. So that will help. So I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Farmer, thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all. Thank you all. Thank you.
All right, that wraps up presentations. We have anybody who is logged on who wishes to, anybody in the remote queue?
I do not have anybody here to give public comment.
Very good. That being the case, I'm going to close out the presentation portion of this and ask for a motion as it relates to resolution number A26-01.
First, on the staff recommendation and discussion, I move that we approve the variance that's been requested.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Board Member Purcell. Can I have
Second.
a second? I have a second from Mr. Weed. Any debate, gentlemen?
I would like to, based on the findings of staff, and also on the adjacent neighbor that is almost exactly the same setback with their building that this is, should not negatively affect them or the look of the street. It feels safe and in keeping with the criteria. So those would be the reasons why I will vote for it.
Mr. Jardine, anything?
Nope, sounds good to me.
Mr. Purcell?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that, I also find it to be a very reasonable request, and I'm ready to move forward on it. So I have a motion to approve and a second. If I can get a roll call vote, please, since we have a remote member.
Board Member Purcell.
Yes.
Board Member Jardine.
Approve.
Board Member Weed.
Approve.
Sorry, Vice Chair Weed.
Approve.
Chair Farr.
Approved.
That is unanimous.
Thank you. That closes us out. Congratulations, Mr. Farmer. You can at least now move forward with the next phase of the plan. I appreciate that. Closing out the general business, opening up for staff reports. Do we have anything from town staff?
I don't.
Counselor? Very good. That makes that easy. Close out the staff reports. Any reports, opening up commissioner reports and discussion items? I certainly have nothing. Any of our other commissioner or board members? Mr. Purcell, give you the opportunity to unmute. Very good.
Nothing from me.
That being the case, it sounds as though we have concluded the business for the Board of Adjustment for the evening. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, Board of Adjustment is closed.